Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. It's here. It's time to unite the League, the Justice League. What did I like? What did I dislike? How does it fit into the greater DC movie universe? Let's talk about it. Since it is part of the DC movie universe, let me quickly give you my hierarchy of what I think of that universe so far so you can know where I'm coming from. So at the top of the list, best from this universe, Wonder Woman. Not perfect, but still the best thing we've got from them in a very enjoyable movie. Under that, we have Suicide Squad. Very flawed, but can be fun at times. It does have its problems, though. Under that, Man of Steel. It's boring. I'm sorry, it's boring. It's not really bad, it's just really boring. Finally, at the bottom, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I can't even. I'm done with this movie. I'm done. So where does Justice League fit on this list? Let's talk about it. So the Justice League is brought to us by director Zack Snyder, who of course did Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And let's kind of bring up the elephant in the room here. So if you didn't know, Zack Snyder had to drop off of this project due to a family issue. I don't really want to discuss that part here. If you want to find out about it, it's easily searchable. But basically, he had to drop off this project before it finished and hand the reins over to Joss Whedon, who of course directed both the Avengers movies and is big on Buffy and Firefly, and he's the big nerd guy. So for Zack Snyder, I have given him a lot of crap recently on this show for his last few movies, which I still am not a fan of. But he did direct one of my favorite movies of all time, Watchmen, and I did enjoy Sucker Punch and 300. He can be good, and I never really wished ill upon him, and it's really unfortunate that this happened to him. I really hope he can take some time off, deal with it, and get back to work, and I wish him all the best. That being said, Justice League. So the plot of Justice League is a space creature, I guess you can call him, named Steppenwolf, decides he wants to take over the Earth because it's there. And it's up to our league to unite together as a team to defeat him. That's about it. So let's talk about the characters. So of course we've got the return of the superhero trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, played by Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot, respectively. If you've seen, all the previous DC movies, you know these characters. There's not too much terribly different about what they bring to the movie. I am going to get more into Superman later, but I will quickly say that there are a few lines that Gal Gadot delivers very flat. She's not terrible throughout the whole movie, but there's a few times you're like, oh, can we take a second take on that? Let's try that again. Ugh. And they didn't take the second take. But overall, if you know what they are from previous movies, so yeah. But we did get some new heroes who have never appeared on the big screen. So let's talk about them. So the first one is Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo himself, playing Aquaman. So I've given Aquaman a lot of shit on this show because he is awful.
Nobody seems to understand how useful I am, I'm really capable. I can do lots of stuff, lots. I can do stuff like I can,
But he is, in his own right, an interesting hero. Outside of talking to fish, he does have other powers. Being that he grew up, below the sea in a literal high-stress environment, or high-pressure environment, I should say, he's developed, near impenetrable skin, as well as swimming his whole life, basically superhuman strength. So he is useful on the team, but yeah, he's Aquaman. I'm sorry, Aquaman sucks. They try very hard to make Aquaman interesting. They paint him in this as a dark loner, And that works for the most part. He's kind of like, a motorcycle tough, I guess you can call him. He's, the strong, super gruff guy and drinking a lot and whatnot. It kind of works, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's about it. I don't know. Then we got Ray Fisher, who really hasn't been in anything else, playing Cyborg, and this is my favorite part of the movie. I really liked what they did with Cyborg. So basically, his father used a mother box in conjunction with cybernetic technology to bring him back to life after he was in an accident that caused him to lose most of his limbs and pretty much die. And he's basically, like, I'm a monster. I shouldn't be alive. I'm built in with all these things. I don't know what's going on. And it's this really gothy take on Cyborg, and I like it a lot. He's still very confident, but he's like, I shouldn't exist. I shouldn't be. But I like what he did. I like what Ray Fisher's doing there. At times his power can be a little, dictated by the plot. Like, he can just happen to do this now, and he happens to do this now, and it's this whole thing where he's constantly evolving. So that was a little weak, but I do like Cyborg a lot. I really enjoyed that character. I hope we get to see more of him. And then finally what we got was, I was told everyone's favorite from the screenings. I didn't quite get that, but Ezra Miller, who was in Fantastic Beasts, he plays the Flash. So, of course, you can't help but compare this Flash to the Flash on the TV show. So this take on Flash is the lot more comical Flash and, young, brash, not know what he's doing Flash. Which is a deep contrast to the TV Flash, who's, dour and down on himself and a lot of drama. He's a little bit more of the comic relief, throwing some quips and being awkward and weird. And it worked for the most part. I wouldn't call him my favorite part, but he looks really good. And it is a different contrast to what we've gotten on the show. And I like that because, why have two of the same if we're not going to combine these universes? I didn't quite get that he was the best thing ever. And I thought some of his jokes landed pretty flat, which I'll get into later. But overall, he's a pretty decent guy. I liked what he did. So what worked well about Justice League? Well, the main thing I really enjoyed, besides Cyborg, of course, was the look and the portrayal of these characters. They look comic accurate, and they've made adjustments to make it more real feeling, but still staying close to their comic counterpart. They look awesome. And all the characters are portrayed very well. I like the different take on Aquaman. Batman's awesome. Wonder Woman's still awesome. They're all great. They all did a really good job, and it's really awesome to see these characters on the big screen. And a big part of me just, really just like, we have the Justice League. It's there. It's on the screen. And they look comic accurate. This is really fun. So a big part of me was really into that. On top of that, like I had mentioned before, Superman, of course, is back. One of my big complaints is the fake-out deaths. But this Superman is great. This is the most Superman Henry Cavill has been yet. One, they brightened up his suit a lot. This is the bluest suit we've seen. But on top of that, he's smiling. He's, energetic. He's, full of himself, but not cocky. He is Superman. Like, he's got hope. I really like what Henry Cavill finally did with this Superman. It was, it was fun. He was a fun Superman. And I'm finally glad we got to have that. He's tired of being dour. I really didn't like that. So I'm glad we had this fun, smiley Superman. He was great. I really like this version of Superman. So late in the game, they brought in Danny Elfman to do the scoring, who, has a very distinct flavor of music. In a lot of ways it fits, and it's a very cool part of the movie because a lot of the scores in a lot of superhero movies are very generic and, kind of the samey feeling, and his is obviously very different. Now, there are times with it clashing with the tone because I don't think they had Danny Elfman in mind at the beginning of filming this. So there are times it can clash, but overall, I think the score is fantastic into this. And if you're into a movie that takes a lot of time to get into it and building up things, this isn't your movie. But if you want a movie that just gets right into it, this is your movie. It just jumps right into this movie. It's ready to go. We're going. Here's your villain. Go. Get the team. Go. And that was a little refreshing for me to be like, okay, we got this. We're going. Let's do this. No more preamble. Let's just jump into it. So I enjoyed that a lot. So that was some good stuff. But obviously, this isn't the perfect movie. Where does Justice League fall short? Well, the biggest number one issue for me is the villain of Steppenwolf. No, not the band. This guy. There we go. So Steppenwolf looks awful. It's just a terrible effect. He looks shitty. And then he's basically just I'm taking over the world villain. No nuance, just I'm taking over the world. That's it. So it really deflates the movie that the villain is just looks terrible and has no real motivation. It's just, cut and paste villainy of like, I think I would have had more fun if they made up a villain called Evil McEvilson and had just, a top hat and a twirly mustache. At least that would have been goofy. This is just terrible. And he was absolutely the worst part of this movie. Just bad. Like, it's just really bad. Like, they have trouble fighting him and then they don't all of a sudden. Like, it's really just inconsistent. The look is shitty, and it's just a terrible villain. And speaking of his look, there is some very questionable CG in this movie. Outside of Steppenwolf, there's a fight with the Amazons that you saw in the trailer, and it looks like a freaking video game cutscene. And not like a Skyrim good one, but like fucking, Battleship. Like, this is a shitty, some shitty CG. And, of course, we got Mustache Gate, and yeah, there's a few scenes where you can really tell they had to paint over Henry Cavill's mustache, and it looks really bad. Like, there's like not enough lip. Like, he's like, "Hi, I'm Superman."
Brian, look, I'm Gary Busey. I'm frequently aggressive in situations that don't call for it.
It's really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So yeah, some very questionable CG. I don't know if it's because they had to rush things or what the deal was there, but very questionable CG. Another kind of problem I had, although not major, but the general plot and how the team comes together was a bit of a problem. So they did build up in Batman v Superman and even Suicide Squad that they're building a team. But that's a little Avenger-y of just like, hey, we're getting this team together, guys. If you saw the straight-to-DVD release of Justice League War, which is a very good version of the Justice League coming together, it was basically a crisis on Earth and all the heroes coming of their own volition to fight it, which really shows the DC heroes being different than Marvel. Even me being, more of a Marvel fan, the DC heroes always found to be more heroic. They're more willing to just step in, no questions asked, and just do the right thing. And I think they missed an opportunity to do that by just having, Steppenwolf come through the mother boxes and, just start shit in the world, and these heroes coming out on their own volition to stop him and then being like, hey, you on my side? You on my side? All right, we're all together. Let's do this. I think that would have been a better contrast to the Avengers and, just showing how heroic our heroes are. And I think they really missed an opportunity there. Another very odd problem is the whole beginning of this movie, which sets the tone for the rest of the movie. So it kind of, maybe that's what hindered the whole movie. But it starts with this really weird Superman thing with that pretty much spotlighted the terrible CG on his mustache. And then there was like this weird song that was the intro, and it's this really awkward song. And then building into the team, there's some really weird exposition dumps. Like Alfred's like, we found out about Barry Allen. Apparently he runs fast, and his mom died, and his dad was blamed, but he keeps thinking his dad's innocent, and it's like almost going into like, and he's going to be the comic relief, and he's a Scorpio, and he's, you know, likes sandwiches, but he likes the crust cut off of his sandwiches. It's a lot like that, and there's for all of them. Like Cyborg, there's like, oh, he's part human and metal. He's a cyborg. And Aquaman's, you know, Batman's like, oh, you're the Aquaman. Like, oh God. Like, I know you need to say their names, but oh God, that was really bad. There's just some very awkward expositional dumps in the beginning. And the whole intro to this movie is very off-putting. I don't like it. And finally, my biggest, another problem I had is the comedy in this movie. I know everyone gives DC shit for not being funny and not throwing in some comedy, but this is awkward. This is like your unfunny boss trying to tell a joke, and you have to be like, like it's... I mean, your mileage may vary, but in my theater, when there was a joke, most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, dead fucking silence. Like, you know, they'd be like, oh, do, and it's obviously a joke, and everyone's just... They fell like a fucking rock, the comedy. So maybe just don't do the comedy, I guess, or something. I don't know what the problem was there, but the comedy was bad. I mean, I guess I give them respect for trying. You're trying, but yeah, you didn't do it. You didn't succeed. Keep trying, though. Keep trying. So that's enough of that. Let's get into spoilers. Throw up the spoiler sign and jump to this time code here if you want to skip out of spoilers. But I am doing some spoilers now. So the first thing, when I predicted the Justice League and what was going to happen, I was fucking right about Superman. They used a mother box to bring back Superman. I fucking called it. Throw one on the board. I got something right. Woo!
Well, this calls for a celebration. I will.
It can happen. I can be right about a thing. And honestly, for spoilers, that is it. The spoiler of this movie is that there is no spoilers. It's very straightforward, no surprises, nothing interesting, just buy the book, evil villain, get the team, beat the villain, done. That's the spoilers, there's no spoilers. So let's wrap this up. They tried really hard to polish a turd, and I kind of respect them for it. They really tried to make something out of this. But that's the overall feel of this movie, is that, like, they're polishing a turd. Like, this was really bad. We tried really hard to clean this up, guys. Like, that was the overall aura of this movie, of just, you know, doubling back on things that were wrong in other movies and cleaning up what was going wrong with this movie. They tried really hard to clean it up, and I gotta say, for what they did, this is the okayest movie of the year. Like, how was the effects? They're alright. How was the acting? It was okay. You know, how was the story? It was okay. Like, it was all just okay. This is the okayest movie of the year. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's just right dead center. Like, it's alright. It's okay. So, yeah, like, that was it. It's just okay. Which, unfortunately, for the Justice League is a terrible thing. And I know it's not really fair to judge it on its name, but we deserve more for the Justice League. Kevin Smith has said we're spoiled, and, like, you know, we should just be happy that we have our superheroes on the screen, but I'm not. No, they should be good movies, too. And the fact that it's the Justice League should have had a bit more of, you know, pomp and circumstance. This should have been an event, but it didn't feel like an event. Like, there wasn't much build up to it. There wasn't a lot, like, commercial wise that I felt going on. It was just sort of like, yeah, here's the movie. And like compared to Avengers not only felt like a culmination of everything that happened before it, but like this is the stepping stone into something bigger. Like we're going blam, we're going out into the world. This is just like the first Thor movie where it was just like, yeah, this is gonna happen, so here you go. We did the thing. It didn't get the treatment it really should have. And I don't think okay is really okay for the Justice League. I think they're heading in better directions with this universe, but okay isn't okay for the Justice League. I'm sorry, it's not. So in the end, I'm going to have to give this a rating of a see it on TV. You know, meaning if you're already paying for HBO and it comes on HBO, yeah, you can check it out. You know, if it hits Netflix, yeah, give it a watch. It is something to see. But it's not this big thing it should have been. It's really missing something, and they tried, but it's okay. It's about it. That's all I can really say, and I've said it a million times, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Until next time, hold on to your hold slots.